Blake Lively is now dead to Taylor Swift. This is the final nail in the coffin for her friendship with Blake Lively, as she wants to distance herself from this legal battle between Lively and Justin Baldoni, and she blames Blake wholeheartedly.
What could make one of Hollywood's most admired friendships suddenly fracture? Just weeks ago, they seemed inseparable, appearing side by side at events, laughing through interviews, and sharing picture-perfect moments online. But something shifted. Whispers of tension began circulating after a late-night gathering that insiders now call a turning point. Boundaries were blurred, feelings tested, and speculation took hold. The question dominating headlines isn't just what happened that night, but whether this rift is genuine heartbreak or another carefully spun Hollywood storyline. Beneath the polished images and public smiles, the truth behind this fallout seems far more layered and far more human than anyone expected.
The server apparently hopped the fence at 2 a.m. at Travis Kelce's house. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense, and we're going to explain more of why it makes no sense and who could have been potentially behind it. But that act alone, regardless of who was before, regardless of her feelings on Justin and everything else, the fact that it happened, the fact that this thing's still going, the fact that Taylor's now involved, she blames Blake wholeheartedly. That's
Why would anyone risk jumping a fence at Travis Kelce's home in the middle of the night? This wasn't some reckless teenager chasing a thrill. According to the official police timeline, an arrest was made at exactly 2:16 a.m. right outside the gates of the NFL star's Kansas City property. Think about that. 2 a.m., a man sneaks past security, alarms start blaring, and within minutes, flashing red and blue lights cut through the quiet streets. That's not random. It's intentional. It didn't take long before people started wondering what, or more specifically, who this late-night break-in was really about. Police confirmed a trespassing arrest, but the report wasn't clean. Entire sections were blacked out, names, motives, key details, all redacted into mystery. Those missing lines only fueled speculation, and within hours, gossip channels turned it into a full-blown storm. Some believe the man was there because of Taylor Swift, who has been tied to Kelce's home since their relationship went public. Others thought it wasn't about fandom at all, but something more personal, maybe even professional, someone trying to send a message no regular fan could. That's where the story began to split. Local outlets like the Kansas City Star treated it as a routine trespass. Nothing unusual, nothing celebrity-driven. But Star magazine spun it differently, claiming the break-in had direct ties to Taylor and might even involve someone attempting to serve legal papers. The twist: the official report never once mentioned her name, not even a hint. So where did that theory come from? Imagine the scene: a lone figure in the dark, hands gripping the fence, the faint scrape of boots on grass before sirens erupt. Police cars swarm the driveway, lights flashing as officers jot notes that later vanish under black bars. By sunrise, tabloids are on fire, stalker or messenger. Taylor Swift caught in midnight chaos. The vagueness became the headline. Then the name surfaced, quietly confirmed. The man in custody wasn't some faceless stranger, it was Justin Lee Fisher. His identity was real, but his motive and connection to Taylor weren't clear at all. Which meant every headline tying her name to the trespassing was built on speculation. Still, the timing felt too strange to ignore. The secrecy, the proximity to her cycle, and the chaos erupting just as her world was under scrutiny. That's when whispers began. Some insiders hinted this midnight drama wasn't isolated at all, that it might trace back to Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, two names already tangled in controversy. Whether coincidence or coordination, one thing became clear. The story was no longer just about a fence jumper. It was about a web of relationships, rivalries, and secrets blurring the line between Hollywood's perfect image and its private turmoil.
Final nail in the coffin for her friendship with Blake Lively, as she wants to distance herself from this legal battle between Lively and Justin Baldoni. And this incident was the turning point for her. I mean, I think it was already there, but this insider claims for Taylor, that arrest was it. She believes Blake opened the door to all of this, and watching a process server get handcuffed at Travis's home because of Blake's lawsuit was humiliating. This ended whatever was left of their bond. Another source close to Swift's echoed that view, saying, Taylor has dealt with stalkers and security scares for years, but being dragged into Blake's drama with Baldoni feels different. She sees it as a betrayal. That arrest was the moment she decided she's done. I mean, do you believe that? Do you think it really was? I think this was the final moment where she's like, never, ever, 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 but I think it was already done before this. But as this battle progresses, this was the moment that allegedly sent it over.
Was that late-night fence jump really just a strange coincidence? Or was it the first move in something much bigger involving Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? Many people don't believe it was just a random trespassing case. The timing, the vague police report, and the sudden flood of media attention all pointed towards something deeper, something that pulled in names far beyond Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. That's when whispers started connecting Blake and Justin to the story. Justin Baldoni was already tangled in bitter legal disputes, his name circling Hollywood's most chaotic headlines. Add Blake Lively into the mix, and suddenly two seemingly separate dramas collided right in the middle of Taylor's world. The circulating theory suggested that Blake, long viewed as one of Taylor's closest friends, might have used that friendship strategically, wielding Taylor's name as both a shield and a weapon. Whenever the media dragged Taylor into Justin's controversies, the distraction didn't just redirect attention, it bolstered Blake's position. And that's where the unease began. If true, this wasn't about simple courtroom tactics. It hinted at Blake blurring the lines between loyalty and calculation, turning friendship into leverage. That shift could reframe her not as a loyal confidant, but as someone willing to manipulate public perception in her favor. Then came the blind items, those anonymous insider leaks that always seemed to know too much. One in particular painted Justin as dangerously arrogant, convinced he was smarter than everyone around him, even the Arya singer caught in his orbit. The post warned that his ego wouldn't just destroy his own image, it could take his wife down too. That cryptic claim spread fast, reposted across forums and TikTok threads as fans pieced together theories, whether they fit or not. Soon, rumors grew that the mysterious fence jumper might have ties to Justin's legal chaos, while Blake stayed silent, letting Taylor's name absorb the backlash. What truly caught people's attention, though, were the insider claims suggesting Blake wasn't blindsided at all. They implied she fully understood that using Taylor's name would spark a media frenzy, keeping every detail of her legal troubles in the spotlight. Did she do it intentionally to control the narrative? Was it manipulation or coincidence? Those questions only grew louder as Blake's silence stretched on. She continued filing motions in court but offered no public statements, no denial, no explanation, no clarification for why her name appeared in whispers about trespasses and arrests. For many observers, that quiet felt like confirmation. To them, Blake's silence didn't read as grace, it read as guilt. Yet while her silence fueled the fire, it was Taylor's equally calm, measured response, her complete lack of engagement, that left everyone wondering just how deep this tangled story really goes.
Day after Blake Lively's birthday. Can you imagine if it had happened and she had announced it on Blake Lively's birthday? Oh my gosh. Taylor, I do think, was wise and made sure, someone on Taylor's team made sure that it wasn't that, because it would have created so much news about she snubbed it on her birthday. But as Blake was celebrating her birthday, she celebrated, do I have that one? Yeah, here it is. It was quiet time with the family as on her 38th birthday amid the legal battle. From exclusive sources at People, she's been having a great summer with Ryan and her 4 kids. She's focusing on her family, and it's been mostly about family time, having a great summer. So it sounds like not a lot of stress and trauma like she keeps claiming in this legal doc. Lively's birthday comes after she's just announced in a new film, which, what are they thinking? The Survivalist, an action rom-com. I'm going to take a bet that that film's not going to do well. Just going to take a bet. I would not have betted on Blake Lively as my leading lady for an action rom-com, but we'll see. We'll see how that works. But again, she's still getting work. She's celebrating at home. She's living her best life. Apparently all this smear campaign and retaliation hasn't really affected her, it seems. But anyway, she's been in there chilling, having her birthday plans. She's grateful for Ryan's support over the past year. She's been unwinding, blah, 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 with love and gratitude by many who stood by me. You know, she's just doing the same. So, but what is she really thinking? Let's get to some of these I think, pretty solid rumors. Now, the biggest snub of recent is the report coming in that Taylor has officially removed her from the guest list of her upcoming birthday party. So this is where and Taylor Swift was not welcome to Blake Lively's party, is how Blake's trying to
Why didn't Taylor Swift rush to defend Blake Lively, the friend she once championed without hesitation? Fans were stunned by her silence. For years, whenever someone in her inner circle faced controversy, Taylor's loyalty was immediate and unmistakable. She'd post subtle but powerful messages online, appear at public events to show support, or drop lyrical hints that doubled as protective shields. But this time, there was nothing. No Instagram captions. No interviews laced with quiet reassurance. No symbolic gestures of solidarity. It was as if Taylor simply stepped behind the curtain and chose to stay there just as the chaos around Blake reached its peak. That silence spoke louder than anything she could have said. Taylor had built a reputation for unshakable loyalty, someone who stood by her chosen family through every storm. But when Blake's name became entangled in controversy, Taylor's restraint created a void too glaring to ignore. The contrast between her past patterns of protection and her present absence became the centerpiece of speculation. Had something personal fractured between them? Or was this distance a calculated move to protect her own image? With no explanation from either woman, the public began filling in the blanks. The timing only deepened the mystery. Taylor was in the middle of an all-consuming era, her record-breaking world tour dominating headlines, constant buzz about a possible engagement to Travis Kelce, and a new album rollout commanding her focus. Stepping into Blake's unraveling situation wouldn't have been just a distraction. It could have risked the pristine image she'd spent years curating. Taylor's world was controlled, polished, and free of unnecessary drama, while Blake's had become a swirl of lawsuits, speculation, and tabloid rumors. Insiders soon hinted at what might really be going on. Taylor's team had strongly advised her to keep her distance. They recognized the danger of proximity, knowing how easily gossip could turn association into implication. Their message was clear: don't get pulled into someone else's storm. Silence, in this case, wasn't avoidance, it was strategy. For someone as image-conscious as Taylor, the choice fit perfectly within her long-term playbook. Stay spotless, stay untouchable. Yet in Hollywood, silence rarely stays neutral. Instead of calming the noise, it made it louder. Fans began dissecting every missed event, every absence of a post, every missing moment where the two friends once shared public banter. The quiet felt deliberate, and that absence began to take on a meaning of its own. In the world of celebrity optics, words are optional, but actions, or the lack of them, say everything. Taylor didn't have to announce she was stepping back from Blake. Her silence did it for her. Whether it was driven by strategy, self-preservation, or private betrayal, Taylor's restraint became its own statement. And as the media began shaping the story, one truth became unavoidable. The friendship that once seemed unbreakable wasn't ending in chaos or confrontation. It was fading quietly, through a silence so precise it felt intentional, a silence that said more than words ever could.
We've known this for a while, but reports Taylor Swift has been wanting this drama for a while. Taylor never wanted to be part of this fight. Now she's just hoping it ends soon. She's totally done with it. She has an album to launch, a wedding to plan, the biggest tour in the world. The last thing she needs is this courtroom chaos that has nothing to do with her. Her mission is simple: clear her name, keep her focus on her fans and her future with Travis, and leave the Hollywood mudslinging to someone else. She doesn't want to get involved. She clearly doesn't want to defend Justin. She doesn't want to be there to help Blake. She wants nothing to do with this. I can't blame her. I don't think she was as involved. But here's where things get a little interesting. We're going to go through some, again, theories, blind items, take them as you will. This is no way proof, but sometimes they're interesting. And again, take this as you will, a blind item. The late night attempt is not what it seems. The auxiliary actor thinks he's smarter than everyone else, including the A-plus singer. He should be careful or his ego will destroy both him and his wife in a very public way. I want that.
Would you believe that two major news outlets could cover the exact same late-night trespassing incident and somehow make it sound like two completely different events? That's exactly what happened. And the clash between their stories turned what should have been a routine 2 a.m. arrest into a full-blown media storm. One version stuck to the facts. The other threw Taylor Swift directly into the chaos, forcing fans to pick sides about what really happened. The Kansas City star kept it simple. Their report described a straightforward police response outside Travis Kelce's property. Officers arrived around 2:16 a.m., arrested a man named Justin Lee Fisher, and booked him for criminal trespassing. It was clean, procedural, and notably detached. Just the facts, no embellishment. The police report they cited was heavily redacted, with thick black bars hiding motives, names, and key details. But one thing was clear: Taylor Swift's name wasn't mentioned anywhere. On paper, she had absolutely nothing to do with it. Then came Star magazine, and their take couldn't have been more explosive. They claimed the man at Kelce's home wasn't just trespassing, he was allegedly there to serve Taylor Swift with legal papers. That single twist flipped the entire narrative and sent social media into meltdown. By morning, timelines were flooded with theories, gossip, and speculation. When the Kansas City Star later clarified that Star magazine was the only outlet making that claim and that the official police report contained zero references to Swift, it sparked an even bigger question. Where did that story actually come from? Was someone feeding false information to the tabloids, or had the magazine simply manufactured a headline for clicks? That gap between fact and fiction became the perfect breeding ground for chaos. Fans reading one outlet saw a routine trespass. Those reading the other saw a calculated act targeting one of the world's biggest stars. Within hours, both stories were bouncing around the internet, feeding off each other until the line between truth and rumor blurred completely. Star magazine doubled down, citing anonymous insiders and cryptic blind items to make their story sound legitimate. Meanwhile, police silence about the man's motive left just enough mystery for imagination to take over. On TikTok, clips of flashing sirens played under Taylor Swift songs. Reddit threads claimed the real story was obvious if you connected the right dots. But those dots only existed because the official record left so much blank space. And then came another twist. Rumors that Blake Lively's legal team was quietly filing paperwork every time a new wave of headlines hit, as if her courtroom maneuvers were syncing with the online chaos. Whether that was true or not, the optics were impossible to ignore. The more conflicting the media coverage became, the easier it was for PR teams to twist the narrative. And somewhere in all that noise, Taylor Swift found her escape. She didn't have to clarify. She didn't have to defend. She simply let the chaos burn itself out. By refusing to engage, she stayed above the mess, untouched, unreachable, and perfectly silent. But that silence carried its own weight. If this was the storm Taylor chose not to clean up, it left one haunting question hanging over everything. What did her silence really say about her friendship with Blake Lively?
Trespassing ordeal. So here's a few things. The details that they're leaving out add more questions than answers. The Kansas City Star states that officers arrived at 2:16 in the morning, September 15th. A man was arrested who was charged with criminal trespassing. Although information on the police report was heavily redacted, the address is Kelce's. Now remember, I was able to confirm that from the police crime map. So they're saying on here that the police report was heavily redacted. And no, they don't mention anything whatsoever that he was there to serve Taylor Swift or that he had papers of any deposition papers or anything like that. They do not mention what his motive was to be there. They do confirm that yes, his name is Justin Lee Fisher. But here's the thing, some people...
They go through, there's a lot more. I'm going to go to this next part where they sort of confirm.
When the Kansas City Star does mentioning the attempt of serving Taylor Swift, they specifically state that this information is according to Star magazine, which leaves everyone to believe that that information is exclusive to Star magazine. So again, how did they receive that information? How do they know that information? Because as stated from Kansas City Star, the police report is heavily redacted. If that was something that was in the, police report, Kansas City Star would have mentioned that and would have also just highlighted that that's something that the Star magazine noted. But they would have said it in their own words as well. They did not do so. They do not mention that that was information that was on the police report.
So yeah, how did they know? Feels like we need to subpoena them.
What happens when a friendship built on years of trust starts to fall apart in a single night? That was the question fans couldn't stop asking when Taylor Swift's most stable bond, her long-standing friendship with Blake Lively, suddenly seemed to crack. For years, theirs had been one of Hollywood's most admired connections. It wasn't just red carpet photos or publicity shots. Their lives were woven together, families intertwined, creative projects overlapping, loyalty that seemed untouchable. But after that strange 2 a.m. incident outside Travis Kelce's home, everything shifted. The friendship that once felt unshakable now looked uncertain, and that late-night event became a symbol of something deeper unraveling behind the scenes. The fence jump wasn't dismissed as some random act of chaos. It became the thread connecting back to Justin Baldoni and, by extension, to Blake. Suddenly, Taylor's name was pulled into a whirlwind she neither caused nor could control. Even though official police records made no mention of her, gossip outlets splashed her image across headlines. If Blake's actions, or even her closeness to the drama, played any role in drawing that spotlight toward Taylor, the damage wasn't just public, it was personal. It cut at the core of their trust. Fans didn't need a press release to see the distance forming. They began noticing what had quietly disappeared. No more social media shout-outs, no playful captions, no sightings of the two together. Even in interviews, when Taylor talked about her inner circle, Blake's name was suddenly missing. For longtime fans, that silence spoke volumes. Behind the curtain, the reasoning felt clear. Taylor was in the middle of her record-breaking world tour. Every show sold out. Every headline dominated by her career and her relationship with Travis Kelce. Her empire, built on precision and control, couldn't afford a hint of scandal. Any tie, however indirect, to legal battles or media chaos was a risk she couldn't take. So she did what she's always done best. She took control of the narrative. She protected her image, her romance, and her momentum by quietly stepping back from anything that could destabilize it. Still, insiders claimed the decision went beyond strategy. Some said Taylor felt genuinely betrayed, that she believed Blake had used her name as a form of protection, letting their friendship draw attention away from her own turmoil. If that was true, this wasn't just a friendship fading in silence. It was a calculated break, a boundary drawn out of hurt. The idea that Blake might have blurred the line between loyalty and leverage turned what looked like professional distance into something much more personal. And for someone as deliberate as Taylor, trust once broken rarely returns. For fans, the shift sparked uncomfortable questions. Was their bond ever as authentic as it appeared? Or had it always been a carefully balanced alliance that served them both? Taylor's silence no longer felt like distance, it felt like a decision. A quiet but definitive move to protect her legacy. In the end, the message couldn't have been clearer. In Hollywood, reputation isn't just currency, it's survival. And by refusing to step into Blake Lively's chaos, Taylor Swift might have preserved her empire, even if it meant ending one of her most admired friendships. Whether this was a temporary pause or a final goodbye, one truth remained. In a world where loyalty shifts with the headlines, even the strongest bonds can break overnight.